Welcome to Skills to Pay the Bills and today's segment of Shirley Luu and Associates with Dr. Shirley Luu and me, Tia Young, serving as your co-host. Shirley, today we are gonna let you start out by introducing a great investment tool known simply as Kai-zen. And later in the show, we want to hear about your new office move and your grand opening for Shirley Luu and Associates. So, you know what? Let's get started.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Tia.
You know, I had not heard of this term Kai-zen before, so I did a little research, and I need you to tell me if I have the right definition.
Okay.
It is a Japanese word for improvement in business. Kai-zen refers to activities that continuously improve all functions and involve all employees from the CEO to the assembly line workers. Now, is this what your Kai-zen is all about?
It's very similar. The terms Kai-zen is really for process improvement. So no matter what it is that you have, if you can process improve of that current existing things that are better stuff, you know, to do things better, that's what Kai-zen is.
Oh, okay.
So when it comes to, it applies to almost anything, all practical life.
Oh, I see.
So under the financial industry, that product was named because here's better enhancement when it comes to retirement. There's a new process improvement products. That's why they name it Kai-zen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, can you give us a general overview? Because I tried to look up some information on it, and it was just it was comprehensive to me. I couldn't understand it. So can you give us an overview?
Yeah, you know, actually Kai-zen is not that much complicated, Tia.
Well, that's me.
Well, okay, so I'll give you an example, okay? True example. This morning, actually, at 10 a.m., I had a client coming in, and he brought his bunch of his financial statement. He brought, you know, IRA account, retirement account. He bought a life insurance account. And one of them was a life insurance account that he said, hey, I was giving this policy by my attorney. And the objective of the thing was he needed around $2 million of death coverage, okay? And it was also important to have living benefits such as long-term care in case if he gets hurt and sick. And the new kind of life insurance nowadays, of course, you tap into the money, use it while you're alive and not until you're dead, right? So one of the dynamic, this life insurance is called Index IUL. Okay, and this is how it ties into the program. So the product he had was an Index IUL. It was a $2 million account. If he dies, his family gets $2 million. And if he get hurt, gets sick, any of those things, it becomes a $2 million cash. Because traditional life insurance, you got to die first to use, right? The third component about this life insurance is that he would pay for 10 years. In 10 years, he pays $65,000 a year for a $2 million policy based on his age. And exactly at age 65, the account has a income distribution of $80,000 a year. Wow. Tax-free for the rest of his family for the rest of life. But he had to put out $65,000. So if you do the math, 65 times 10 is $650,000. Okay. Right? So he's excited. His attorney gave this to him. He's like, oh, yes, I have this. I have retirement. I have death benefit. I can leave and I can have all this. And he turned it over to me and I go, why didn't they show you Kai-zen? And he goes, what? I said, well, instead of paying $650,000 for 10 years, right? $65,000 a year for 10 years. What if we only pay $65,000 for 5 years? I can cut that funding in half for you.
How?
With this new program. So cutting in half, I still gave him his $2 million death benefit for his family. And then still all living benefit as well, and a stream of retirement, in this case, even more than what he previously had.
Wow.
So he looked at me like you said,
yeah.
How in the heck did this happen? I said, because the Kai-zen program, the only difference is it is an Index IUL life insurance, but the difference is now we have the banks helping you fund it. So every $1 you put in, we match 3. This is how neat the program works.
So the banks are partnering with.
That's right. So so in this case, for every $1 you put in, the first 5 years, when he put in $65,000, my bank matched $65 for 5 years. We're using other people's money to jumpstart clients to get a retirement account. And if anyone does investment savings, that's a smart way to do, to use other people's money to leverage retirement.
Right.
So the two catch under the program, the first catch is that when you put in 5 years, Tia, I'll match you 5 years. I'm going to charge you interest on that. It's a loan. I'm loaning you money to put into a life insurance policy. Okay. You understand?
Is the interest high?
The interest is go by LIBOR rate. So it's just like you're buying a house, where it's very low plus bank fees. Last year, the fees on the thing was around 3.5, and in return, actually the year before that, the market did well. Client made 12.5. So if you're a client, imagine you borrow money on 3.5 and you make 9% gain. And then that's on the bank's money. On your portion, you make 12.5, which is not bad.
That's
and
not
remember,
bad.
it's going tax deferred. And the way they structure this, because it's inside life insurance, it becomes a distribution tax-free when the client takes it out. Now, back to remember the 5 years?
Right.
You do it for 5 years, you're done. Year 6 to year 10th, remember your $65,000 in this case the client did? Well, you're not going to put anything else in. The bank is going to do your 65 plus their 65. So they're going to put $130,000 a year for the next 5 years.
Well, wait a minute now. When is the bank? I mean, I know the bank, they love us and all that, but when are they going to get? Are they going to make theirs? How do they?
Well, remember, the bank's interest is just making interest on the loan. Just like today, and how they got into this program is pretty neat, because they loan money into the housing market. When you buy a house,
Right.
You agreed to pay 4 or 5% interest on that loan to
Right.
buy a house.
That's true.
I gave you $500,000 to buy a house, right?
Right.
And if you don't pay me, I take your house away, because I'm using your house as collateral, right?
Right.
And the bank decided, well, you know what? Why don't I go into loaning money for cars? Because you love that beautiful Lexus out there. It costs $50,000 and you don't have cash to pay for that. So how about this? I'm the bank. I'll loan you interest 2-3% to buy that Lexus.
Right.
Right.
By the way, folks, I don't have a Lexus.
So if you don't pay me, I'm the bank. What do? I could repossess your car. So I have that as collateral. Well, banking industry got smart. The financial industry, one of the most wealthiest and most profitable and most growth. So here's the problem, though. If I loan you the money, how do I know that I can make sure I'll get my money back?
Yeah.
Because if I put it in a mutual fund or stock, I can't control it, right?
That's
you
true.
could lose money and I could lose money, your portion and my portion.
Right.
No one can control the stock market, like the 401k, the stock, the mutual fund, like all the young people love to play, right?
Yeah.
And even the adults. So the bank said, well, what can we put in this guarantee they can never lose? So they decided to say, well, oh, wait a minute. There's a thing called whole life policy where it gives guarantee 4%, 5% like whole life. But there's one problem with that. If the interest rate on that's only 4 or 5%, and I may loan you, money at 4 or 5%, you're not making any money. Correct?
Right.
So that couldn't do that either. But there was one product. It was an index. Where the way index works is that when the stock market goes up, you go with the market. But when the market goes down, they lock it down at 0. And the beautiful Kai-zen program back tested too. They tested, they figured every 2-3 years the market didn't make any money, even though they were charging interest.
Right.
And they back tested this things, and it's funny when they run this thing, hypothetical stuff around 6.6 average stock market they believe in the future the investment market can make. And so back to this client who does it only for 5 years instead of 10 years like the other company. And he'll get a stream of income like $90,000 a year for the rest of his life. He goes, I have to take this back to my attorney. He said, this is crazy. I said, yeah, you do that, So to me, Tears is exciting. I'm at the forefront of these kind of things and being able to educate. So it's not just that, but I'm working now in partnership with a lot of banking industry. I'm partnering with a lot of financial firm out there that used to be my competition, and they're seeing me bringing viable products, and they say, gosh, Shirley, you know what? Yeah.
So when you say you're partnering with these organizations, what does that mean? How are you partnering with them?
Well, so what happens is in these partnerships, they stay core focused as a financial firm, what they do. They're just adding all the extra stuff that I have over here that they never had it before.
Oh, okay.
And so to them, they said, you know what, Shirley, we like what you have to offer. We want to bring new product line to our clients because we believe, stock and mutual funds is one thing, but having this other piece of it, it's very critical. we never knew that for every $1 you could put in somebody's mattress $3. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
You know,
that's true.
And so just like this owner, he sat there, he was dumbfounded. He was just like, wow. He said, I didn't know this thing exists.
Right.
And by the way, one of the qualifications on this is that your household, your income should be at least $100,000 a year.
Okay.
Because these are requirement large premium first, but you have to do it consistently for 5 years. And after that, you're done.
You're done. Well, I have a question. We have a couple of minutes before the break, but you said something earlier when you began your explanation of Kai-zen, and you said a lot of people don't have this new day in insurance. They got the, what do you mean by that, the new day insurance?
Well, the new kind of insurance is that, because new versus old. To me, if you go to work and you buy term insurance through work and things like that, those are temporary and it's going to go away. I mean, today I see so many people say, well, my husband is like 60 years old. I just bought a term policy at least, for 10, 15 years. And I looked at them and I said, what, you think he's going to die within 75 years old? If he doesn't, you don't have anything. And I said, he's healthy as a bee. He's running around the block right now, So those are old. And the way I see is, a lot of whole life policy giving 4% guarantee. That's still very old traditional stuff. Then you got universal, and then the last one's called variable. People's been losing money on the variable market right now, big time. So the new kind is the index, where your money is not in the market, but they use the market as a measurement, how much credits to give you on the investment side.
Right.
So to me, that's pretty good. It's very robust. I'm talking to people about these kind of unique things because I tried out for me and my family.
Right.
I'm passionate about it because when I learned these things, I said, oh my God, it's like you discover gold, or you discover something else, and you discover the youth fountain, and you want to share it with the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny, a lot of people still don't believe me. I still want to believe it's too good to be true, doesn't exist, and all that. I even have, I won't name names or anybody, but there are banking institutions, other folks, and financial firms that, too good to be true.
Okay. Well, we're going to pick that up because I have another question to ask you about term insurance. So we're going to take a short station break, and we will return, and then we're going to finish up our discussion on Kai-zen, and then we're going to talk about Shirley Luu and Associates. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us on Skills to Pay the Bills in today's segment of Shirley Luu and Associates. Shirley, before the break, we were talking about term insurance.
Right.
And I do have a question that I want to ask you because I have been in the presence of some people, and term insurance is all they can afford. I mean, certain things have happened in the economy, and some of them are young, they're real young, and they get it real cheap.
Yeah.
So are you saying that people should stay away from term insurance, or are you saying that, what are you saying?
Okay, what I'm saying is that if you have an opportunity where the only thing you could afford is a very small amount to at least have your family coverage. There are a lot of term insurance out there today, Tia, that's a new product that has what's called living benefits. So it's not just death insurance, it's also cover chronic illness, critical illness, heart attacks, strokes, long-term care, those kind of things.
That's pretty new for them, isn't it?
It is brand new.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that because a lot of folks still have the old term where only death. So if you want true, real term insurance, well, imagine get the kind with living benefits. That's the first things. And also, what if there's a company out there that could even offer what is called, okay, Tia, you bought this term insurance, so you have within the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years to convert into permanent without showing insurability. Now that's really critical because what happens if I'm buying it right now, I'm very young, and down the road, let's say 10, 20 years, you never know, right? I may develop cancer or whatever, and if I go outside buy it, I may not qualify. Well, there are certain companies out there today exist that guess what? Automatic insurability. Even if you have cancer, at that time when you do the conversion, they still got to take you.
Oh, wow.
That's
pretty good.
Yeah, so the only thing you really have to worry about is the pricing, really. Of course, the new pricing of the new age, whatever it may be. Now, so that's one way to do it, right? So you have an opportunity, some term company will allow you to convert into a permanent.
Oh.
And some company even could say, you know what, Tia, you've been paying for this long, whatever premium you pay, I'll take that and apply to the new one.
Okay, that's
to the new policy.
I had not heard of that.
And then there's also even some term policy was called return on premium where they give it all back if you don't die. You buy term 10, 20, 15, And the key thing is that a lot of people out there still working on the old kind of traditional term that they're not used to all the new one that I just mentioned to you. You know, so there are dynamics where that fits in play.
Okay.
And guess what? I'm gonna throw icing on the cake this as well. So let's say someone couldn't really afford it. Well, what if I told you there are permanent policy out there where you could add the term rider, buy the basic permanent very cheap, but you add a term rider to it.
To strengthen it.
To strengthen it,
Yeah.
but it's a term pricing. It keeps it very cheap.
Oh, okay.
But you wrap it inside the permanent life policy.
Okay.
How do you know? The best way is that, really sit down and,
And
you know,
talk
and
with
said,
your
and talk,
professional, yeah.
professional, and say, okay, I hear all these things. Does it exist?
Right, right.
And if all else failed, if they don't know how to do it, you just contact Shirley Luu and Associates. Right
Now,
there.
Okay, so that's good. Thank you for clearing that up. Let's get back to Kai-zen. All right, we talked about this is an individual person that came to your office.
Yes.
And so we know now that it's good if you make $100,000, and anybody can do this. What about that business man that wants to say reward some of his key managers?
Absolutely.
Can you give an example of how it would work in that situation?
Sure. So imagine this, you're one of my key executives. I'm the CEO of the company, and I really like you, Tia, and I don't want you to go anywhere, and I want you to stay around the company. I want you to be with me for a long, long time. So what a great way if I went in and say, Tia, what if I created a plan today where I put in the money and create this other retirement plan where we have the bank matches? If you stay with me after 10, 15, 20 years, I can turn that account over to you like a pension plan. So it's a way for me putting a golden handcuff on you, right? Sort of.
Right.
But you see down the future, wow, so if anything ever happens to me, my family gets $1.5 million tax-free.
Whoa.
That's a lot.
And the bank is still a part of this. Is the
A bank a part, yeah.
The bank is still
And at the same time, imagine, I'm covering you in case of all the chronic illness, critical illness, injury, and all that stuff. Imagine you put in that small amount today for like young folks. So many young folks out there go to work, they make over $100,000 a year, and imagine if they put in about $13,000 a year for 5 years. When they retire, they get close to almost $187,000 a year tax-free. How many young people out there would love to go to work? Hey, those college student, when you go to work, remember this program.
Right.
Okay? Because they do it for 5 years and they get this kind of stream of income. But again, it's an educational, so we use it to entice, people to stay around, executive. It's pretty awesome, and hey, what if some cases sometimes even a tax write-off for a corporation?
Right, that's right. Well, you've done a good job on explaining it. I understand it a little bit better because I didn't know that it was for individuals as well as, just for key employees and key managers. So it's really something to look at.
Well, so many realtor, mortgage folks out there, loan officer and all that, they make commission and they make about $100,000 a year.
I met a young man not so long ago. He is 24, I think, and he took up coding about 3 years ago, and he's making 6 figures.
Absolutely.
Already, he's only
I
24.
met another 28-year-old the other day. He was making about $150,000 a year.
Yeah.
When I showed him how to do $13,000 a year for 5 years, he's like, I can do it one shot. And I mean, he's like, wow, this thing, so it's,
Good. Well, let's see, we have a few more minutes left in this session. Let's talk about Shirley Luu and Associates. You've recently gone from Shirley Luu Finance to Shirley Luu and Associates, and you're having a grand opening coming up very soon, sometimes in May, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the change and what's expected, and about your grand opening.
Okay. Well, I'm really excited about the Shirley Luu and Associates, because one of the things that's really important to me was, as I'm working with attorneys and law firms, and I'm working with other business associates in industry, consultant firm, and they like the idea of what I have. So they want to be a partner of choice, and they say, hey, Shirley, what if we can just refer you clients, or to giving you some of these opportunities. CPA and all those, and so I made it Shirley Luu and Associates, including them. You know, so they're
okay.
part of the associates instead of just Shirley Luu Finance. And the branding itself is taking a new turn, so we have quite a few folks who are interested
Got a book
in
coming
it.
out too soon, right?
Yeah, you know, I'm trying to get the website, trying to get the office move, and all this stuff. It's been a little bit overwhelming. At the same time, business flowing in constantly.
Yeah, you're on the road, traveling all the time.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and I got the banking industry who are signing partnership with me. Other financial institutions are now signing up with me as well. So it's kind of great partnership to be able to do these unique things into the industry. Yeah.
Well, as you move and you're growing into Shirley Luu Finance, can you use more associates? Is it something hard for people to hook up with you and maybe start?
I'll give you an example. Right before I arrived here, I rushed over here. I was a woman, Circle of Excellence Award in Washington, D.C., and there were like over 200 women there, you know. Ooh. And all of them were some of the most powerful, elite women, you know. And so when I talked to them, some of them just consulting, some of them were coaches and this and that. And, you know, imagine if they go out there being able to do a coach, you know, they're coaching on other stuff, you know, how to have motivation, how to get out of the rut, all this, that. And I told them, I said, guys, one of the things is, why not coach people about finance? Teach people about finance. Teach people to understand if you don't save anything today, you're not going to have anything for the future.
That's right.
You know? and so with that endorsement, and then there was another one, got 600 students. They're from first grade to fifth grade. So I told them one of the things that we do is we go in and teach kids. You know, play game with them, teach them about money and this and that, you know, so it's pretty dynamic.
600 kids?
Yeah, 600 kids.
Goodness.
So they're like, can we call you? Can we call you? And I say, sure. So we go out and we work with the community, we work with nonprofit, we work with single mom, we work, you know, because I think financial education is an important piece. So the more Shirley Luu Associates band together, the more financial literacy it's going out there so that we no longer have financial illiterate. It'll be, you know what I mean? Illiteracy will be a thing of the past.
Right. And now that you're growing, I imagine you're having to totally revamp your team, your management team. In fact, I was thinking about seeing if we could get the larger studio and you have some of your management people come in and, you know, kind of share a little bit. So are you having to revamp that as well?
Yeah, you know what, so I'm really excited because nowadays I am bringing talented folks, talented team members. I'll give you an example. Believe it or not, within the past 2 days alone, I've got 3 attorneys came on board.
Oh, wow.
And these attorneys are no nonsense because they have to check every I, dotted every T, you know, and
so you got
dot every I.
You got real estate agents,
and you know,
bankers,
bankers, yeah. And so, to me, there's nothing more credible than having these guys, you know, check it out, test it out, and all this. Because, like I told you this morning, that customer, he said, "I'm taking this back to my attorney," and I go, "You do that." Right. And you know, the interesting thing is, past couple of days, a couple of my team came to me and said, you know, I've got other people are saying that this thing's not real, doesn't exist, it's not true, you know, because this is not a session where we talk about annuity, you know. Right. And I told them, I said, you know what, whoever tells you that from now on, I would like for you to please give me that, you know, that person's name, right? If they are in the industry and they don't know about this stuff, then I think it's time education a little bit. You know what I mean? Because I like to take them on a journey of education. You know, just because you haven't heard of it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And you need to be privy to, you know, talk about these kind of things. You know, it is a highly regulated industry here. It's just not a no joke. You got to get licensing. You got to get certified. You know, you got to go continue education, training constantly. So it's not something you take lightly to go on radio and TV and talk about things that don't exist.
Right, that's true.
So I want people to really understand that, you know, because I take my credential pretty seriously, you know, and my team and our affiliation. But, you know, I'm excited. You got to come to the grand opening.
I know. I'm going to be there, and I'm excited. I'm excited for you. So we've got a little less than a minute before the show has to end. I want to thank you so much for sharing and for co-hosting this. I'm learning as you teach and as you say things. And I did have one quick question. Going back a little bit, it's great. You've got attorneys and you've got bankers coming on. What about the housewife who wants to work part-time? can that person contact you and also?
Do you know, I have people that came to me now that are desperate, have no job. By the way, I'm hiring a lot of students from colleges too.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I'm hiring a lot of students from colleges because I'm teaching, taking them in and put them under my wings.
Right.
And these people, you know, I think financial education is so important to all. And imagine what a great way, from a woman's standpoint, where woman to woman, you know, sitting down, chit-chatting, eating cookies, right?
Right.
Taking care of the kids while they're running around, and said,
Right.
hey, you know what? What do we have for our family? What does our husband have?
Right.
You know, guess what? Most women don't know.
Yeah.
They're clueless, and they say, oh, my husband does it all.
And that, you know, and that I'm gonna stop here because we gotta go. But that is a subject all by itself that we need to talk about.
Absolutely.
We need to talk about that, and we did. Thank you so much, Shirley.
Tia, thank you. You've been an awesome host.
Okay, good. Well, our time is up, and we want to thank you for joining us on today's segment of Shirley Luu and Associates. Everyone is invited to the grand opening of Shirley Luu and Associates on May 17, 2019. From 9:30 a.m. until 5 p.m., there will be food, fun, prizes, and wealth-building financial strategies. Bring a couple of friends with you because we're going to have fun as we all learn more about the products and services of Shirley Luu and Associates. The address of the new location is scrolling on your television screens as we close. Thank you for joining us today. Tune in next week on Skills to Pay the Bills for another great segment of Shirley Luu and Associates. Bye-bye.